Hi, everyone. Welcome to English for You. I'm Kat.
And I'm Reese.
And today we are talking about paradise in Taiwan.
We're taking a vacation.
Hooray! Yeah, so we're actually going to小琉球. I know this is one of the most popular vacation destinations for a lot of people. If you live there, you're really lucky.
Yeah, I don't think many people live there. It's a pretty small island.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually one of the first places that I visited when I was in Taiwan on like a vacation.
Wow. Strangely enough, I've never been there, and I've been living in Taiwan for 7 years.
Wow.
So I am very late to that party. But yeah, we have an article today all about the things you can do there, like what it's like, a little bit of history, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be very nostalgic reading this article.
Oh, and I'm going to be very, looking forward to it.
Yeah, there's so much to do there for such a small island. It really is packed with nature, history, and just amazing things to experience.
That sounds awesome. All right, why don't we go ahead and take a look? Let's dive right in.
Reading.
Xiaoliuqiu, South Taiwan's island escape. When most people think of beaches in Taiwan, they think of Kending. However, there are lots of equally beautiful places to find sun and sea. One of them is Xiaoliuqiu. Just south of Kaohsiung, this pretty little island is a place of beautiful beaches, underwater adventure, and historical mystery. Although it's very small, Xiaoliuqiu has many names, including Lamei, Little Ryukyu, and Golden Lion Island. The tiny island is easy for visitors to reach. It's less than 30 minutes by boat from Donggan in Pingdong County. However, Xiaoliuqiu feels like another world. Xiaoliuqiu's landscape was formed by the rising of old coral reefs. This weathered material has covered the island in unusual rock formations that are a huge draw for photographers. Flower Vase rock, the most famous of these, rises out of the water like a fine piece of pottery. In the island's south, Mouse Rock looks like a curious mouse that is looking out to sea.
Okay, the article begins with, when most people think of beaches in Taiwan, they think of Kenting. However, there are lots of equally beautiful places to find sun and sea.
I don't think of Kenting first.
Yeah, I don't think of Kenting either.
I mean, maybe it's because we live in the north, but I think of the North Coast. I think of Fulong or Waiao.
Or Baishawan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because we're northerners.
Oh, I see. We are Tianlongren.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah.
I'm sure the southerners would disagree.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, let's talk about this phrase, to think of something. It means to have an image or idea of something or somebody in your mind. To have something come to your mind or to just think about something. We can also use it to mean to remember something or to call a memory to your mind. I think of Taiwan whenever I drink milk tea, even when I'm not in Taiwan. So here it's used kind of like the word remember. One thing can often cause you to think of another thing.
That's right. And so the article says a lot of people think of Kenting when they think of beaches in Taiwan. However, there are a lot of other ones too that are equally as good. And the article says one of them is Xiaoliuqiu. Just south of Kaohsiung, this pretty little island is a place of beautiful beaches, underwater adventure, and historical mystery. Ooh, sounds very exciting. So it's got a lot going on for a tiny little island. And one of the things you will see there is underwater adventure. Underwater is an adjective that is made of these words under and water. So you can imagine kind of what it means. It means that something is under the water's surface, the surface being the top of the water. So if you are in the ocean, you're in a bath, in a lake, or anywhere else that there is water and you are in it and not touching any air, you are underwater. That's what it means to be underwater, like diving or snorkeling or just swimming down so that you're not touching the air. That's underwater. Then we have this vocabulary word here, which is mystery. Now, this is a non-count version. That means you can only say, mystery and not a mystery or mysteries, but there is also a count version. But here we're talking about mystery, the quality of being difficult to understand or explain, or being mysterious. That's the adjective form. If you put us on the end, you get mysterious. So mystery is kind of like, this thing is very strange and hard to understand, hard to uncover. We need to, we feel curious about it. We don't know about it, and it makes us want to know more. So, for an example sentence, you could say, there's lots of mystery around how these huge ancient buildings were made, but scientists are trying to figure it out.
I love a good mystery.
Me too.
For so many years, there was a mystery about Stonehenge
in
the UK, but I think scientists have a pretty good idea now of how they were moved.
Yeah, how the rocks were moved. Wasn't it using logs or something like that?
Yeah, like rolling it along, but even with the explanation, it's still amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing what people could do before they had really advanced machines and tools. But yeah.
Well, back to the article, and although it's very small, Xiaoliuqiu has many names, including Lamay, Little Ryukyu, and Golden Lion Island.
Yeah, I always thought, why did they call it Little Ryukyu? Because Ryukyu are these group of islands that are owned by Japan. They're like between Taiwan and Japan. So I always wondered about that.
Maybe that was a name that the Japanese gave it during the occupation of Taiwan.
Oh, it could be, yeah.
I'm not sure. My Taiwanese history is rusty at best.
Okay.
We have a word here to discuss. It's the word although, which is a conjunction. It's our language in focus. We use although when we want to say, even though A is true, B can still be true or happen. A and B must be different, and to use although, usually the result is a little surprising or not expected. We're often showing that thing A did not affect or was not able to change the outcome of thing B. For example, although he was feeling tired, Matt went to the gym to work out. So even though he was tired, he didn't have energy, he could still go to the gym. We can also use this in a different structure. We can put the second part of the sentence at the beginning and put although in the middle. Matt went to the gym, although he was feeling tired. Another word to talk about is the word including, which is a preposition here, and it means containing as part of the whole. The things that you describe as being included are some examples of or are a part of the bigger picture, the whole thing. For example, many of us will go to the party, including Seb, Kat, and I. There's probably more people going, but we are included. Another example could be, I've been to many countries in Asia, including Japan and Thailand. Those are just two examples. Sometimes we use it to show that even these things are part of what we're talking about. Again, perhaps surprisingly so. One more example sentence here. All of the students had detention that night, including Jeff, who is usually so well behaved. And detention is that place where bad kids go after school. It's kind of like a punishment for doing bad things in class.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes your teacher will say, detention for you! I don't think I ever got detention in school.
I got it once, but for something I genuinely didn't do.
Really? Oh, that's not fair. Aw. Well, anyhow, so we've got this little tiny island, Xiaoliuqiu, and it has many names, though. It could be called Little Ryukyu, or Golden Lion Island, or Lamay. So it has many names, and the article says the tiny island is easy for visitors to reach. It's less than 30 minutes by boat from Donggang in Pingdong County. Okay, so we find out that it's actually really not that far from the main island of Taiwan, and it's it's in this county, Pingdong County. This is one of our vocab words. A county is an administrative area. Now, if you don't know what that means it's an area that has its own kind of government. It has its own group of people who are taking care of it. And it's bigger than a city. It's bigger than a town, but it's smaller than a state and it's smaller than a country. So, for example, the U.S. has counties in it. The U.S. has 50 states, and each state has many different counties. For example, I'm from Idaho State, and in it, I'm from Ada County, and in Ada County, I'm from Boise City. So that's an example of how, you have going up from city, you have county, state, country, and then, the world. So Taiwan has a bunch of counties. It has 13 different counties, including Pingdong, Lianchang, where the Matsu Islands are, Yilan, Miaoli, a bunch of others. So, yeah, those are some counties in Taiwan.
Yeah, the UK is divided into counties as well. So I'm from Suffolk, County Suffolk. Yeah.
Okay. So an example sentence for county, you could say, I live in Yilan County, but my grandparents live in Nantao County.
Well, back to the article, and it says, however, Xiaoliuqiu feels like another world. Xiaoliuqiu's landscape was formed by the rising of old coral reefs.
That's right. So Taiwan was pretty much formed, the main island was pretty much formed by volcanoes.
Right. It's pretty young compared to most other land masses, right?
Yeah, the mountains here are pretty new. Yeah.
Relatively speaking, of course.
Yeah.
They're much older than all of us.
Only a couple million years old.
Only a couple. So let's talk about some of these geographical terms we've got here. The first one is landscape. Landscape is a noun, and the landscape is all of the visible features of the land, the parts of the land that you can see and travel to. Landscape is an area of land that has a particular type of appearance. So the hills, the trees, the mountains, the sky, the river, these can all make up the landscape. If you're talking about a city, you might call it a cityscape instead, where you'll see buildings and bridges and roads. You can see big landscapes if you climb a mountain or if you go up a tall building. We also have the word coral reef, which is a noun, and it's a large area of rock under the sea that's covered in coral, usually quite close to the land. And coral reefs are really important parts of the sea's ecosystem. Well, what is coral? Well, coral is a hard, stone-like thing that grows in beautiful colors and patterns under the sea. It's created by tiny creatures, and many other sea animals use them to live inside.
So coral is something that if you go diving, you'll definitely want to see because there are lots of fish and things like octopuses, dolphins, sharks, all sorts of things that swim around there. So coral reefs are very important. And Xiaoliuqiu was apparently made by them, and that's pretty cool. So the article goes on to say, this weathered material has covered the island in unusual rock formations that are a huge draw for photographers. So we say that the coral reefs are weathered. Now, for something to be weathered, it means it's from a verb to weather away. It's not talking about the rain or the sun or anything like that. Although actually it is, but in a different way. When something is weathered, it changes in color or condition because of the effects of the sun or the rain or the wind. So basically, the weather has pounded down on this rock for hundreds of years, maybe more, and it's changed the rock because of all the pressure that it's been under from natural forces. So things that are weathered might be like a piece of wood that's been floating in the ocean for a long time. It'll usually be very smooth. People's skin can be weathered if they work outside a lot. Like farmers will usually have like dark, wrinkly skin. That means they look weathered. Your clothes get weathered if you wear them a lot. So you'll see that they'll start to get some holes or some thin patches in them. That's weathering as well. And of course, rocks, like on Xiaoliuqiu, can be weathered. So when you see them, you might think, oh, that's a really strange shape. And it's because of the way that the sun and the wind and the water have affected it over a very long time. So, we're talking about weathered things like rock formations. A formation is a way that something is formed or the way that something is made naturally. So, a rock formation is a formation of rock. That's something that is formed or created out of rocks, and it usually has interesting shapes, and it's around, like there'll be a number of them around the same area because they'll be affected by the same thing. So for a good example, you could look at Yelio in the north coast of Taiwan. The Queen's Head Rock is a rock formation that a lot of people like to take pictures of. And the people taking pictures of it are photographers. This is another one of our vocab words. A photographer is a person who takes photographs, especially as their job. Now, you'll notice there's a difference between the way we say photographer and photograph. The stress is in a different place. So make sure you don't say photographer. That would be wrong. So people who are photographers take photographs, and they're what you get when you use a camera. They're like photos. So you'll see professional photographers carrying around a big camera, and sometimes they'll have a tripod, which is that three-legged thing they stand the camera up on. Sometimes they work in studios, but others will take photos in nature, and Xiaoliuqiu is a really great place to do that. So an example sentence for this could be, Liz is a bird photographer. She loves to go take pictures in the park on weekends.
Okay, well, back to the article and more about Xiaoliuqiu and what you can see there. Flower vase rock, the most famous of these, rises out of the water like a fine piece of pottery. Wow, that's so beautiful. I can envision it in my mind as I say it.
You've probably seen it before, right?
I have, and it is a really cool rock formation. It's
Nice.
amazing to think that this thing has been shaped by nature.
How big is it?
It's pretty big. I'd say maybe like 10 or so meters tall.
10 meters?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Whoa.
Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I remember it being very impressive at least.
Dang. Okay.
So flower vase rock is very famous. Let's talk about this word vase or vase, if you prefer. Both of those pronunciations are acceptable. Vase is a noun, and it's a container with no handles, usually made of china or porcelain, that's often used to keep fresh flowers in. There are many kinds of vases, and they're not always for keeping flowers inside. Vases can be small enough to sit on your table at home or huge enough to take up the entire corner of a room. They can be simply designed or covered in gold and delicate paintings. So the flower vase rock is not actually a vase, it's just a rock that's in the shape of a vase. Here's an example sentence with vase. My cat knocked the vase off the table and it smashed. Oops.
Sounds like a thing for cats to do.
Yeah, and the cat definitely did it on purpose.
Uh-huh.
Another word to talk about is the word pottery, which is a noun, and it's kind of related to vase. Pottery is pots, dishes, plates, bowls, or vases, anything made out of ceramic or porcelain or china. Pottery is usually made with clay that has been shaped and baked until it's very hard. Some people like to make pottery, and it's a hobby for many people. Here's an example sentence. If you visit Inge, you'll see many shops that sell pottery and other handmade goods.
Right, so since a vase is a piece of pottery, that's why the flower vase rock looks like one. And I will say, there is a difference between a flower pot and a flower vase. Flower pots are usually what you grow them in, and they're kind of wide at the top. Vases are usually pretty skinny at the top.
Yeah, a pot
or skinny all the way down.
Right. A pot is functional, right? It's for growing plants, whereas a
Yeah.
vase is usually for displaying flowers. But
decorating.
They're probably going to die if they're fresh flowers.
Yeah, I mean, you want either fake flowers or flowers that don't need soil. Yeah. I know there's blown glass vases that are very, very nice that some people just put on their own. Anyway, so we can see flower vase rock. That's one of the things you can see on Xiaoliuqiu. In the island's south, mouse rock looks like a curious mouse that is looking out to sea.
That's
that
cute.
sounds really cute.
I don't remember seeing this one, though.
And now I want to go look for it.
Yeah, mouse rock and vase rock. It's weathering, right? It's
Yeah.
the sand and the sea and the air and the wind and the rain.
Just happens to have made them look like these things.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. And I think all around the world there are different examples of big rock formations that take the shapes of things that look like other things. Pareidolia, I think it's called.
Yes, pareidolia.
Well, that's the end of our article for day 1. I am desperate to learn more about Xiaoliuqiu because even though I've been there, I'm still learning more about this island.
All right.
I think in day 2, we're going to learn about the history of Xiaoliuqiu. But before that, let's have a look at our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
All right, our For You Chat question for today is, which Taiwanese island do you want to visit most and why? Have you been to them all?
I've been to some of them. I've been to Green Island and Xiaoliuqiu and a few other ones, but I've never been to Orchid Island, Lanyu.
Yeah.
I've heard it's really rustic and like kind of untouched compared to the other islands.
Oh, interesting.
It's like more natural. It's really good for diving, and you can experience some of the like Aboriginal culture there as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I would really love to go to Orchid Island.
That sounds really great.
Stay there for a few days. Yeah.
Well, I think for me, it's got to be Xiaoliuqiu, actually, because that's the one I haven't been to that's like really on my list. But anyway, we're going to learn more about this great little island in day 2. We will see you tomorrow for a little more about Xiaoliuqiu. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Vocabulary Review.
Mystery. People have admired the mystery of the smile on Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa for hundreds of years. Including, Allison received many gifts on her birthday, including a new bike and several books. County. This country is divided into 10 counties, but most of them have very few people. Photographer. Ross and Lisa hired a photographer to take pictures at their wedding. Vase. I sent my mom flowers for Mother's Day, and she put them in a vase to enjoy all week. Pottery. In her art class, Sandra learned to make pottery, such as cups and bowls, out of clay.
智慧小补帖
Underwater. Landscape. Coral reef. Weathered. Formation.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net